Welcome to Habs Unfiltered, episode 238. I'm your host, Blaine Pudvang, and I'm joined now by my co-hosts, Trey Wilson.
Hello.
And Matt Smith.
Afternoon.
It's a full slate of hosts in this episode. It's a rarity these days with everything going on. It's been a busy week. We haven't had an episode aired since Tuesday. We apologize that it's been such a long gap, but we are fairly busy with our day jobs, and that takes a lot of time away. So we're going to pump out a show here today, and we're going to cover a ton of ground. We're going to talk about the Carey Price injury update. We'll talk about the Canadiens' 5-game win streak. We'll talk some rumors. But I think we're going to need to start with international news. Part of the reason why we're all so busy is we're all dealing with our day jobs and having to get things ready for other units for deployment as we're military, thanks to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. We won't delve into the politics of that, but we will talk about the politics around hockey. We'll start with Wayne Gretzky's comments. He came out last night and said that Russia should not be allowed to participate in the World Juniors. He is of Ukrainian descent, so that makes perfect sense that he would come out and say that. But he is echoing the sentiments of a lot of other people. Now, I want to get your thoughts, guys. I want to hear what you think about Gretzky's idea. Treg?
I think he's kind of right. I think any Russian teams that are in Russia right now, I think until this conflict is resolved, I think it should just stay in Russia. I know all non-Russian KHL teams have pulled out.
Not all of them.
Except for Kulan, Red Star.
Oh,
and
okay.
And the one in Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Helsinki or Finland's pulled out, and
Dynamo Riga.
Dynamo Riga and Latvia. Yeah.
But I think he's right. I said until this is over, I mean, I don't like blaming the kids or like putting them in like they want to play, but due to the way things are and the way things are being done, I think you should be a total freeze on Russia for everything and anything they want to be involved in. I'm not trying to put every Russian under the same umbrella, but situations like this, you kind of have to throw a blanket over it all until it's resolved.
What about you, Matt?
Right now, I'm thinking that hockey is the last thing that everybody should be thinking about when it comes to everything that's going on overseas right now, especially around Russia. But I would agree. It's really not the time, and even the teams that have been pulling out, it's really not. It's really not the safest to be traveling in those areas right now, and we don't need any incidents at this point right now, other than especially with everything that's going on. So it does suck for these young players and some of these professionals that are trying to make a living and trying to get into the bigs and everything. But right now, it's the right move to make. And who knows if the conflict continues, if we're even going to see a World Junior Championship.
Exactly. I want to begin by saying that my heart goes out to every Ukrainian out there. I support their fight for independence. They were invaded, and now they're fighting for their freedoms. This is what a freedom convoy is. It's these people are standing up to a bully who invaded their country. Now, I don't know if the IIHF discussion it's a moot point at this point. I'll start with Switzerland. The notoriously neutral Switzerland has joined several other countries to petition the IIHF to suspend Russia and Belarus, who also supported the Russian invasion, from the IIHF for at least a year, probably. I don't know. They haven't gone into details. Even if they do this, it's a moot point because Russian flights, commercial flights, they're not allowed to land anywhere in Europe, Canada, the United States. So
how are they getting there?
How are they going to get there?
Yeah.
Row your boat?
I guess though, if they come out and say they're going to do this, it's like a sanction. Like they're saying you're not going to, your people will not be able to do this because of what you're doing, right?
That's right.
But now I have a question: is it going to be? But if they do that, is it going to be like the Olympics?
No, if you want it to be an actual sanction, you cannot do this toothless thing where, yeah, you just can't use your name.
Yeah.
Because the Olympic thing
this would come down to citizenship.
Yeah. So this is the Olympic thing was more, we don't want the kids to suffer for political reasons. But we're past that now. Putin's been a bully on the world stage for many, many years. He has shown that no matter what you do, they've been sanctioning him on and off since he invaded the Crimea. And it's not changed anything. And I liken this type of action to a hockey parent. So you got this hockey dad that's at every game. He's constantly berating the refs, the coaches, and arguing and pushing and shoving with parents from his own team and other teams. You suspend him, you fine him, but at the end of the day, the only way to get rid of this guy is to kick his kid off the team. Now, his son has done nothing wrong, or his daughter, and this child is now out of hockey because of what their parent did. It's not fair to the kid, but at the same time, how fair is it to everybody else in that community to have to deal with that one guy? That's what I compare this to. You got to remove him from the community. You cannot allow that kind of cancerous action to spread.
For me, it's going to be interesting to see how fast all this takes place. And like I said, without getting too political, there are going to be ongoing talks between the Ukrainians and the Russians in the Belarus border, actually. But for me, it's on the hockey side of it is how fast everything's going to be. Everything's going to be pushed. Like we've seen moves from the KHL. We've had some very big names in the world of hockey speak out about teams not being able to go. Obviously, Switzerland joined, as you said. Well, the World Championships are to be played in St. Petersburg in 2023. So it's just, in my opinion, it's just a matter of time that those are going to be either canceled or moved to another city.
They've canceled other international competitions that were due to be in Russia in the near future.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Treg, do you think it's possible that they could cancel the 2023 tournament and send it
They've
somewhere
already been
else?
talking about moving it to a different city. That was on Sportsnet last night. They're saying that it's in St. Petersburg 2023, and that it looks like they're just going to look for a different place to do it, regardless of this conflict still going on or not. Because even if the conflict ends in like a week or 2 weeks, the fallout afterwards is going to take years. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I predict they'll just, instead of canceling it, they'll just move it to a different country and stuff like that. That's what I think they'll do. It'll probably stay in Europe, just at a different country. So that's what I think they'll do.
Yeah, I mean, Slovakia would be a great place for it. Their hockey program's starting to grow, and this would just increase. Yeah, this would increase their visibility on the world stage. Hell, give it to freaking Japan, Australia. Don't care.
Whoever.
Don't care.
Whoever. Saint Pierre and Miquelon.
Oh, damn, that'd be great. All right. We'll move on from that. We could talk about this for hours, but the bottom line is nobody supports the Russian attack. Nobody with, an eye for freedom for everyone else. Let's just be honest. This is what freedom is. And it's being taken from the Ukrainians because the Russians are just, Putin's deciding he doesn't want them to have it. Anyway, we'll move on from that. We'll move on to the Montreal Canadiens. There was an update for Carey Price's injury. Chantal Machabée has started doing weekly updates or bi-weekly updates, which I find interesting because it's a level of transparency that the team has not had in a long time. So
when it comes to Price, since he's like the superstar player, the face of the franchise,
yeah,
I understand why they're going to weekly. I mean, she puts out every week. These are the state where the injured players are. You see that on social media. I think when it comes to Price, I think so many people are. I mean, Blaine, even last week you're questioning it. Like, I don't know if he's coming back. I believe he is coming back. I mean, whether it's going to be a successful comeback or not, I have no idea. But the last one they put out this week was basically like, yeah, he's progressing. He's like they sounded pretty positive about his progression, even though he's not going to be on the ice. But it's transparent, but it's not, if you know what I mean. Like, they're transparent and saying, oh, he's progressing and this is what he's doing this week, but they're not really like, is it progressing where you want it to progress? Like, is it where it's supposed to be? Like, is he behind still? Is he going ahead? Is like,
and that's part of the reason why I question it, because he mentioned himself just a few weeks ago that he's had several setbacks in his recovery. Have the setbacks pushed him back? What's the timetable for return? I would love to see him play this season, but it's not looking good. And according to the update for the injury, all it is just that he's not going to be skating this week. That's pretty much it. So we're not sure exactly where he is.
the gym last week was a scheduled week in the gym and off the ice. So you look at that and go, okay, I get that. They don't want him skating this week. They just want him doing gym stuff. But now this week, they're kind of like, he's not skating this week, but he's not in the gym either. So
what's going on?
Why is he not skating or in the gym?
Does he need another MRI? Do they need to see if there's more damage, or
is this a planned rest week? You know what I mean? Like, is this, and I get they're being more transparent, but they're
creating questions at the same time.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, bottom line is we hope that he does return and he can play, because, I mean, it's Carey Price.
If he comes back, we'll fall out of the top 10 or the bottom 10.
You can't.
We're only 19 points away.
And every other team's going to keep losing while the Montreal Canadiens win every single game.
That's only 9.5 wins.
As much as you want to see Price come back, you got to remember that he's going to be coming back, not playing since the playoffs, and you're going to have teams that likely they're going to put him up against, or he's going to want to play, that are looking to push for playoff spots.
Yeah.
You look in the last month of the season, even.
I don't even think that's worth even worrying about.
Oh, I know, but I'm looking for a successful comeback. Do you really want to put him up against a team like Washington or Florida or something like that when it's his first game back?
Well, he can't play against the Canadiens, so he needs to play against quality teams, right?
Right.
I personally think if he comes back, he'll start in Laval.
Personally. A reconditioning stint, yeah, that would make sense.
If you want my honest opinion, I think they should just shut him down for the year and bring him in clean for next season. I know he wants to play this year. I think it's a what's the word I'm looking for? I think it's
professional desire
to play this year, but let's be realistic. I mean, we got what, two months left?
Yeah, there's under what about 28 games left?
29 games left. I don't see him coming back.
All right. So we'll move from there. We'll talk about the Canadiens' 5-game win streak. Who in their right minds would have thought that this season, after the way it started, would have the Canadiens on a 5-game win streak? That's nearly half the wins that they had before St. Louis showed up.
It's more than half. They only had 8.
Well, that's why I said nearly.
He needs 3 more wins to match Ducharme's win total this year.
Yeah, it's 60% of the wins in an 8-game stretch.
It's really sad. It's really sad when you say it like that too. Like, really sad.
And that's why people who are concerned that the Canadiens are starting to win should calm down a little bit. Let the team have their wins. Let the players have their day, because at the end of the day, it's not going to make that much of a difference. It's going to be the difference between finishing dead last or third last. You're still in the lottery and the percentages are about the same.
So I had a good discussion today with a Greek Habs fan.
Uh-oh.
No, it wasn't a bad one. It was a good conversation. He's really worried about the tank, and he's really worried about not getting top 5 pick.
Shane Wright.
Right? Which I mean, realistically, there's a better chance of them not getting. There's a higher percentage chance of them not getting Shane Wright than there is a chance of them getting Shane Wright. So, right now, this whole tanking for Shane Wright thing, I think, is kind of silly. If they get him, great. If they don't, they're still going to get a top player that's going to be a game changer down the road. Okay. If they pick in the top 5, he's not going to be, I don't think he's going to be this generational player, but he's going to be a top 6 good player that's going to help the team progress. However, they need 9 points to fall out of the top 5, and then they would have to really lose the lotto, because you can move up 10 spots in the lotto. So even if you're finished 9th, or if you finish 9th, you can get the top pick. If you finish 10th, you won't get the top pick. Or is it 11th? 11th.
Yeah.
If you finish 11th, you won't get the top pick.
Well, even if they did fall out of the top 10, they lose their pick.
They lose their pick anyway, because it's not it's protected before the draft.
Yeah, top 10.
Yeah. But so if they say they drop to 9th, they can still get the first pick.
But the odds that they go that high into the standings,
I can see them maybe 5th or 6th at the best, if they keep their 625 win percentage up for the rest of the year. And even then, you still got to leapfrog 4 teams.
And they have a pretty solid schedule of teams that are within the playoff race. Yeah. So Matt, your point about going up against playoff hungry teams comes into play here, because those teams are going to be a lot more motivated to take a win against the Canadians than, say, I don't know, Arizona.
Well, they haven't played a top team in this 5-game win streak except the Leafs. The Leafs were the only playoff team.
St. Louis.
Oh, St. Louis. That's right. Yeah.
But do the Leafs even count as a top team?
Depends on who you're talking to.
Offensively, sure. I mean, you can put up a 10 spot. That's great.
But
when you're giving up touchdowns
and you had a 7-2 lead and you still needed an empty net to secure the win.
Could you imagine it? It was 3-1 hashtag is bad enough. It was 7-1.
But it was an entertaining game. Sometimes you need a barn burner like that.
I can imagine every coach watching that was having a heart attack, screaming at the TV, "Back check! Where's the back checking?" 10 guys hanging out at the red line waiting for the goalie to pass it up to them. They're all cherry picking. But back to the Habs. Let's go. We haven't talked about the last 2 wins. So we'll start with the Buffalo game. Canadians came out and they got a 4-0 shutout victory over Buffalo, which it doesn't sound like it's an impressive feat, but Buffalo has really had Montreal's number lately. And to come out and play the way they did and do it, giving Samuel Montembeault his first NHL shutout, that was huge.
For me, it was how they kept playing when injuries started to pile up, because Byron went down in the first minute from a hit from Samuelson, and he went down, he hit his face, he busted his nose, and now we don't know when he's going to be back. And he's just got back from the IR. Josh Anderson took a puck in the face, and thankfully he clipped his visor before it smacked off his cheek, or we'd probably be talking about him being on the IR right now. He only played 10 minutes. And really, when you take him off that line, it really breaks up that chemistry on that top line with Caulfield and Suzuki, who've been playing outstanding since they've been put together. But for me, for that game, Those are the big things. It really came down to the adversity that they showed throughout, even if it was against a team like Buffalo, and Montembeault getting a little bit more confidence, picking up his first shutout. I say Caulfield's continued to perform. He picked up 2 points in the game, including a goal. Suzuki scored on a really nice shootout, a really nice shootout move. Picked up 3 points. This is a guy that they're going to build the team around. And the more we see guys like Caulfield, Suzuki, etc. shine, it's only gonna propel them in the right direction going into the next season.
Treg?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of eat crow on the Montembeault thing because all year I was saying this guy's not an NHL goaltender, and really since Martin St. Louis take over, he's played like both. Even Hammond, I mean, we'll get to that in a second, but he's played like a NHL goaltender. He's not leaving the big juicy rebounds like he was. He's tracking the puck better, like almost every part of his game's better. Maybe a lot of it had to do with his wrist. I don't know, but I'm good for him. You got a shutout. It's the first Quebec-born goaltender to get a shutout since Theodore. Yeah. So for Montreal, anyway. So that's going back.
Normally they play for the other team.
Yeah. Usually it's a rookie goalie from the other team who gets his first shutout in Montreal, but like
or first goal or first point or first anything.
But good for him, good for the team. I love the compete level in the team, and I don't want to get too far ahead because we're going to get into the game last night, but I just love how they don't stop. Like it's a 60-minute game the entire time. Like Montembeault brought it up the game before when Toronto went up 5-0, and then he let 2 in the third. They kind of put their foot off the gas a little bit in the third period, and 2 goals went in. Then against Buffalo, they didn't do that. It was a 60-minute full court press almost continually, and Buffalo really weren't given any space, time, or room to do anything. And that's the biggest change I think in this Canadiens team from when Ducharme was there. Is Ducharme's system, they just fell back and let the team come to them. Where in St. Louis' concept, I'm not going to say system, in his concepts, they're attacking the puck constantly, and they're either rushing the pass or they're losing the puck. So
yep.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, he has them playing with pace. He has them attacking the puck, and he's not telling them how to create the offense. He's just telling them, get the puck and go do your thing. Just do it. So it's giving the opportunity for guys like Suzuki and Caulfield to really express their skill set, which is an offensive skill set. We saw it against Buffalo with Suzuki scoring 2 goals, one on the penalty shot on that unbelievable move, waiting out Anderson and then just throwing it over his shoulder. And the Caulfield, that goal that he scored, just a quick release on a snapshot right off the faceoff. It's stuff like that these are breakdowns in plays that led to their goals, but they use their offensive skills, their innate abilities, to make it happen. And that's kind of what St. Louis is building with these guys. You say concepts, he says it a lot, but basically it's a simple peewee level plan. Man-on-man coverage, tight gaps, stick on stick, finish your check, move the puck up ice.
Well, here, speaking of man-on-man, here's a good question. I like to know how Edmonton's going to do in this man-on-man, because Edmonton is not a good defender when it comes man-on-man. So I'm really curious to see whether Edmonton has, if he ever comes back, whether he has the type of season for the rest of this season that he had last season, because he is a strong
zone
type defenseman. And you saw that in St. Louis. They played no, it wasn't Carolina. They saw he had played man on man, and he didn't do very well on the man on man system.
Yeah, in St. Louis they played zone, and he looked great.
He looked great. So it'll be interesting to see not only is he going to fit into this concept of man on man or system? That's a system. Let's admit it. Or is they going to be looking to move him elsewhere because they know he's not going to fit into that?
We can also look at this
Kinda type
way:
of play.
if he goes back to playing with Petrie, if Petrie does indeed stick around, maybe they'll say, okay, when you guys are playing together, play like you used to, because it worked.
But you got to get the forwards to play that type
That's
of
right.
thing too. So
right.
that you're kind of putting two things. All right, when these two defensemen on the ice, you got to play
Yeah.
zone. But that's just, to me, that would be just too confusing to do.
And this is where the advanced stats and the analytics would come in, where they could assess a player, his strengths and weaknesses. We haven't mentioned it yet, but I will here. The Canadians have promoted John Sedgwick, their capologist, to assistant GM. And part of his role, he's going to stick with the contracts and the money and the cap, but part of his role also is to facilitate the construction of that analytics department.
It already looks like they're hiring that guy from Toronto.
He's skills coach.
He's a skills coach, though. That's development side.
Oh, right.
We'll get to that in a minute, but I just wanted to finish off the point. They're going to start using these analytics to assess the team, and that's where watching Edmondson and how he plays in specific roles and systems will come into play. And if he does come back and he looks healthy, I mean, he traveled with the team to Ottawa in their last game. With his back issue, if he can come back before the end of the season, perhaps they can convince a team to take his contract in the off season. Or if he remains, they can find a way for him to fit in with what the Canadians are doing next season. I think that's going to be a very important thing, considering they're going to be out of a lot of veteran players, especially on the blue line. You mentioned Petrie, Matt, and we'll get to him in the rumors at the end of the show, but the likelihood that he stays, in my opinion, is less than 50-50. So keeping someone like Edmondson might be an important thing just for experience. Now, with the Buffalo game, and I'm going to tie it into the Ottawa game, I was watching Brendan Gallagher and what he was bringing. Like, he has not been producing as he used to. I mean, all season long, nobody was producing, but Gallagher was a shell of what he was before. Like, the legs were moving, but he didn't have the impact throughout the season that he normally does. But since St. Louis came in, we've been seeing a different level from him. He hasn't been scoring, but he's in the last, in the game against the Sabres, he had an XGF, an expected goals for, of 76.8%. That was fifth on the team, but 76.8%. That's high. He had a good control. And then you move into the game against the Senators, the 2-1 victory over the Senators, and his XGF, his expected goals for, I'm just scrolling over. Come on, man. Was 81.29% to lead the team. So he's impacting the game the way he did when he was playing on that line with Tatar and Deneau. It's that level of impact. So how much longer before he pots that goal?
It's just a matter of time. I guess you said he's playing hard and he's in every play. He's taking hits to make plays. You've seen a little bit more pushback from him than we've been seeing this year. A lot more grit to his game. Well, that's, we've seen 11 penalty minutes from the last two games, and I thought one of his better games was the game they played against the Leafs the other night. Well, a week or so ago.
Well, I thought he played excellent against both Buffalo and Ottawa, and yeah. I'm quite surprised they didn't, just for tradition's sake, announce a disallowed goal for him.
It's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time where one of those happens.
That's
right.
Come April 1st of this year, it'd be a full year since the last time Gallagher scored a 5-on-5 goal.
Yeah, and that is a concern. That is definitely a concern. But
For the past
Again.
2-3 seasons, he was on one of the better 5-on-5 lines in the league. So that is a bit concerning, but it's not for lack of trying. I think again, under Ducharme, he was a bit and I don't want to I'm not trashing Ducharme here. But
He
under
was
Ducharme,
handed a shit sandwich.
yeah.
Ducharme
I mean, he got pushed to the third line, which is fine, but he really didn't play with anyone, and they played in a system that was more defensive than offensive, which he normally played in with Tatar and Danault anyway, but that still had a bit of offense to it. Tatar's an offensive player. Gallagher was an offensive player. Danault was the defensive player, and they just gelled together, which is fine. He was on lines that were either two defensive players than him, and he was relied on to provide all the offense, and he just couldn't do it alone. But I have a theory on why he's getting all the penalties. It's because he's going bald and he's angry about it. So he's taking it out on all the other hockey players. But I think the last 3 games he's been putting the effort in. He's been doing what he can to put the puck in. He had that loose puck there last night on Murray that he had quite a few whacks at before Murray checked his own defenseman into him for some reason. And then the puck was still loose when they blew the whistle. But anyway, he'll pot his goals. He'll get it. I mean, he has 12 points, which is quite low for him. He's usually around 40, 50 points. But the goal total to me is what hurts, because he's around 25, 30 goals a year, and he's nowhere close to getting 20. So
I think it's going to come down to matching him up with another good center or a better center. You can't not going to throw Dauphin under the bus. However, he's not somebody that you should be playing with Gallagher. Same thing as with Jake Evans, right? They need to either work with Dvorak when he gets back from his injury and have him and find some sort of chemistry, or you go out and you find somebody that can. Because as you said with the goal scoring, I'm looking at the last 4 seasons, including this one with Gallagher, when he scored 33 goals, 29 even strength. When he scored 22 in the 1920 season, 21. And then last year out of 14, he had 11. So as you said, he scores a hell of a lot of his goals, even strength. Doesn't get a lot of goals on the power play. And this year it's the opposite. With the 4 goals he has, 3 of them have been scored on the power play.
I think this year is kind of one of those years you have to take with a massive grain of salt, just considering how horrible the start was. And by start, I mean the entire first half of the year was just utter shit.
Yeah, until the last 8 games.
Well, that's the second half.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Poehling, I've been saying this for 4 or 5 games now. I think they should swap Poehling and Dauphin. Why not? What's it going to hurt? I put Poehling in between Gallagher and Hoffman, and then you have the potential for a better offensive line on your second line.
Yeah, because Poehling's really been
skating good.
His skating has looked amazing. Yeah. He's had issues with finishing. He's had issues with missing some assignments here and there. But I mean, again, still a rookie, and I mean his footwork, he's keeping up. So he would be a good fit there. He's a really good north-south skater as well, so that would fit well.
Yeah, and he's been very good defensively, like responsible. He's been very responsible defensively, and it's nothing against Dauphin, because I think Daufin's been having a great season. Like, I think he was playing well before Martin St. Louis took over, but he's just not a top 6. He's just not a top 6 center. He's a bottom 6 center, and I don't know if he's just placeholding until Dvorak comes back, but that's what I'm assuming. I think Poehling's going to stay. Poehling's where he's at, because that's where he's going to be at for the rest of the year when Dvorak comes at. So they're just keeping him there. But it'll be interesting.
Now, over those last 2 games, Ben Sherrod has led the team in ice time in both games. Clearly, he's the veteran defenseman. They're relying on him, but they're also showcasing him. But one defenseman that we saw in the game against Ottawa who came back, and it seems like St. Louis really enamored with him, is Schooneman.
Schooneman's having an amazing season since he's been called up to the Habs. He's been one of their better defensemen. Yeah, this guy should be getting the minutes because offensively, defensively, he just knows exactly where to go and what to do. And I think he's been playing great.
Yeah, he's keeping it very simple.
Yeah, he's outplaying Kulak. He's outplaying
Clegg.
Clegg's terrible. But I'm sorry, but Clegg is terrible. But he's outplaying him. Petry's picked up his game, although I thought in Ottawa, I didn't think he had a very good game. I have to agree with something, and it hurts me to do this, but Gary Galley was absolutely right about Petry quarterback in the power play. Every time he passed the puck, every time he had the puck, you knew exactly what he was going to do with it before he did it, because he didn't fake anything. He telegraphed every play he was going to go do before he did it. And it killed me to sit there and go, my God, that mouth is right. Why am I listening to him? But
well, the good news there is that instead of hitting a shin pad on every shot, he missed the shin pads and actually got one on net once.
Yeah. But he also hit the shin pads when they had the empty net, or when they had the power play with 3 minutes to go. And so,
Well, I mean, with Petry, he had some really good moments in that last game. He played very physical. And when he's playing physical, that means he's starting to really feel the groove of the game. And that hopefully translates to the next game, where he can play a full game like that. Because when he's finishing his checks and he's punishing people in the corners in his own zone, that is normally a good sign for him really being into the game. Because when his head's not in the game, he is passive. He barely moves. He makes a ton of mistakes. But if he's hitting, then you can feel better that he would be less likely to do that.
It looks like he just doesn't care when he's not into the game. You can tell just by his body language on the ice. It's like, when you play like beer league and you're there, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, I don't want to be here tonight. Why am I here? You know what I mean? So you just go out and do the motions and then get off the ice.
You've been watching me play.
And I'm like, get off the ice, Petry.
You get on the ice, Blaine. You're like, fuck, Pudsy's not here. I'm never going to score. I don't even want to play anymore.
My goals are way down this year because I haven't played him yet.
And you won't. He's gone.
No.
So he's shout out to my buddy Chris Pudsey, who's over in the Black Sea, or heading towards the Black Sea. He's in the Med right now. Props to you. I don't know when and where they're going into the Black Sea, and if I did, I wouldn't say it. But
that's right.
Anyway,
I miss you, Chris. I miss scoring 5-6 goals a game on you.
Yeah,
miss you, buddy.
You and big Habs fan Curtis Chambers, take care, and I hope everything works out for you guys.
Yeah, especially Curdy, because I like you better than Chris. All right. So we can move on from that. Although before we do, I want to just mention how St. Louis approaches the practices and how that seems to be affecting the games. If you watch any of the practices or you see anything from them, they're doing the small area practices, very small area situations. Everything's in a small area. You have to make quick decisions, and he's leaping from one drill to the next very quickly. There's no break in between. So he's keeping the pace up in a shorter period, in a shorter practice. And it seems to be pushing the pace on the ice as well. So that, I think, bodes well for the Canadiens through the rest of the season. Now we'll go to the rumors. All right. Petry, we were just talking about him. He's been linked to Philadelphia. Treg, what are your thoughts about this?
If the rumors are true, we get Morgan Frost back, I'm okay with this. I'm just wondering if Montreal's going to retain any salary on that. Or if someone's going to come our way that has salary with them, which is possible with Philadelphia. I'm okay with it. I honestly don't think Petry's going to go till the off season, but so I think that's just a rumor, or at least it's a rumor of like Philadelphia's kicking the tires on Petry to see what he can bring for them. And the weird thing is why would they be getting Petrie when they're not even anywhere close to be to making the playoffs? So it just doesn't seem like a smart move right now by Philadelphia. So that's why I'm looking at it as more of a, hey, Ken, what's going on with Petrie? Like, does he really? I mean, Ken Hughes said if it works for him and us, we'll do it. So unless it's comes to the point where Petrie's like, I want to move to the States, ASAP, get me, you know what I mean, to be closer to my family, then sure. But I really don't see him going until the offseason, if he goes at all.
See, that would make more sense in the offseason with Philadelphia. They're
Yeah.
going to be losing Ristolainen more than likely. I don't see them wanting to spend that kind of money on him. He's already making $5 million.
Mhm.
So for an extra 1.5, you pick up Petrie, who would be a more of an impact player than Ristolainen.
I mean,
I
you make
mean-
a point too. Maybe they get him now because they know they're losing Ristolainen in the offseason, but why bother now? Why not wait to the offseason?
Exactly.
You know, that would be the case of Montreal moved him for Petrie's sake and not so much. And I don't know. That's the way I
Matt?
look at it.
Well, the Flyers rumors are definitely true coming from Elliot Friedman. Right now, I'm looking at the same thing as what Treg was saying, and it would like the name that I've heard as well is Morgan Frost. I've also heard a little bit about Isaac Ratcliffe, who played with Suzuki on his wing in Guelph. Big, rangy winger. Doesn't really play the physical game that you would see in a normal guy of his stature, but can still put the puck in the net at times. For me, I'm looking at the Flyers defense, and Sealer, Connaughton, Yandel, Braun, Ristolainen are all out next year. That leaves them Sanheim, Provorov, and Ryan Ellis. And Ryan Ellis and Ristolainen were brought in. You had Cam Atkinson brought in. They had all these different changes to their lineup that they wanted to say, look at us and just fly right through. And it hasn't happened for them with injuries to Couturier, injuries to Ellis, etc. So the way I would look at this move is if they do want Jeff Petrie, maybe it is for players' sake. Maybe it's just they want to get their hands on him before the opportunity is there for any other team to do it. And maybe they're going to try to make an aggressive move, and the cap dump to offset that would be to trade Ristolainen to the Canadiens plus something.
Or they could just trade Ristolainen to a playoff contending team, because Ristolainen's game would fit well in the playoffs. He hasn't played in the playoffs yet, but he's a physical guy.
But we're also looking at two teams outside the playoffs, likely not to make the playoffs, either of them. So even if you did trade Ristolainen as, say, the Flyers cap dump to the Canadiens to get the player that they want, especially since Ristolainen is an unrestricted free agent, Montreal can really do what they want with him. And then pick up the prospect, whatever it is. That's how I would look at it.
I just see them doing their own thing for the rest of the season, trading off whatever, making space, and then doing it in the off season. I think it would just work better. And it'd be less likely that the Canadiens would have to retain or take on a contract or any salary.
Well, that's why I brought up Ristolainen, because they'd only be taking him on till the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then if they see him a fit in their system, a big physical right-handed shot defenseman, or let him go.
Now, another rumor that's come out just recently is that Mike Hoffman has been linked to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and there's been some talk of the LA Kings. Now, both those teams are looking for scoring, and I don't know if it's anything more than just some random whispers, but if I were Ken Hughes and someone's calling for Mike Hoffman, I'd be more than happy to move him.
Well, Mike Hoffman's over 30 anyway, is he not?
Yeah, he's definitely on the trade block.
And they've already said anyone 30 or over is probably going to be shopped around, or at least looked at being moved, depending on who it is. And I'm okay with them getting rid of Hoffman. I think Hoffman was more of a Bergevin dream guy to get, because he was after him for a few years, and then he finally got him. And nothing against Hoffman. I mean, the guy can score. He's a great power play guy. even though our power play's shit. But there's no need for him on our team, I don't think, anymore. Going into if the team they want to make is going to be young, fast, and furious, Hoffman's, because he's not fast. I mean, all he really has is a shot, and he doesn't play defense. So, yeah, I would take whatever I could for him.
I would try to convince the LA Kings to take him. I mean, the Kings are looking for scoring. They're on the cusp. The rebuild went pretty well, and now Rob Blake's looking to get the team into the playoffs and win some series. He's got a lot of good young players in the lineup already, but there's a couple down in the minors that would have a hard time cracking this lineup for the next few years. So why not? Maybe I would eat half the cap if I had to trade him to LA. You might have to build up a package deal in some way for the two teams to make it work. But man, I would love to see Alex Turcotte in Montreal.
Clayton Byfield or nothing.
So I don't think Turcotte or Byfield are going anywhere, to be honest. I think
definitely not Byfield.
I think they'd be a bigger trade elsewhere. I think the guy that they would be calling for, who I believe is the outside looking in below the two of them, would be Gabe Vilardi.
Possible. I wouldn't eat cap for him though.
No, but he's, in my opinion, he's on their depth chart right now. He's below Byfield, and I believe he's also below Turcotte.
Yeah, at center. Yes. For sure.
Yeah.
They're just going to get all the firsts. Montreal's going to draft from 20 to 32. Just the way it is.
The draft would go a lot faster.
They'll get they'll get number 3 and then 20 to 32. That's it. That's how they're drafting.
All right. We're going to get into our final thoughts here for this show. Treg.
Like, again, I already did it. I just want to shout out to all my military friends that are over in the area. Be safe, hopefully this gets over quickly and you go back to your drunken booze cruise that you started doing when you went over there. And other than that, that's it. Yeah, that's all I really got to say.
Matt?
I guess we'll bring up Adam Nicholas now before we sign off.
Sure.
Okay, so the Canadians, as reported by Eric Engels, it looks like they're going to be bringing in skills coach Adam Nicholas. He's worked with the Toronto Maple Leafs as a skill development consultant, which he's currently doing now. He's also a development coach for the Chicago Steel, and he does have a connection with Jeff Gordon, actually, as he was a skills consultant when he was the general manager back in 2016, 2017.
Country club.
For the one season. So they've talked about development. They've talked about building that up in their system, and bringing in a guy like this seems to be the right thing to do. He's been a skating coach, team consultant when it comes to player development, skill development consultant, etc. From NCAA and the QMJHL with the Lewiston Maniacs, at the USHL level and at the NHL level. I think that this would just be this is a positive signing, in my opinion.
No, I've done a couple of calls, text messages with some friends that have had interactions with him, and he's a big proponent of the linear crossover. So for those who don't know what that is, doing the crossovers in straight lines to pick up speed. So think Connor McDavid, how he skates, Nate McKinnon, how he skates, where they're doing crossovers, back and forth, kind of like in an S shape, in a straight line towards the other goal, all in a way of building up maximum speed. So he's a big proponent of that type of skating, and that's showing. It's becoming the norm with NHL skaters now. So that there's that. So apparently he's going to be a good hire once it finally comes out.
So you're saying under this system, guys like Savard and Edmondson are just going to be blowing past people like McDavid?
No. But the young guys, their skating might improve faster than they would have in the past. So that's a bonus if that does happen. And for me, before we sign off, I just want to give a shout out to a friend's company, Derek MacArthur. You sent this to me, and I appreciate that. It's called All OK. It's a Canadian apparel and clothing brand that is veteran owned and operated. They rate their profits. Some of them go towards veteran programs, so mental health programs, veteran assistance programs. So if you want to support a veteran company, check out All OK. And as well, I'd like to echo Treg's sentiments to all our friends that are in Eastern Europe and having to deal with what's going on there. Be safe, and hopefully you come home soon. And to our listeners, I want to thank you for listening. And remember, if you're talking about it, so are we.